Bird. We're back at the hardware store. We need a pulley. We also got this cool bucket. Okay, update on the bean can pulley system. I've moved the pulley down here. It's off of this 2020 beam with a little brace against the ceiling. When the pulley was on the ceiling, it could only pull to about 95 degrees, and we needed to go 110, so it needed to be farther out. So that's about as far as we can go, and then coming back, just letting it off. So what we're trying to do is line up this motor here on the gum relative to the machine in the same way it is in the 3D scene. And it's kind of a tricky process. I don't really know what I'm doing. Alright, that might be good, maybe. Ugh, this is hard, but maybe that's good. I think that might be good. Yeah, I'll call that pretty good. Alright, hopefully, if this is dark enough, then I won't have to rotoscope it out in every shot. And it'll look like it's floating on a black background. Kinda doubt it, but maybe it'll help. Hey, alright, this here, so this is the 60D. I've owned this camera since high school. It's a wonderful camera, but it's a little old. It's a crop sensor and it only goes up to ISO 6400, which is why I bought this camera. This is the Canon EOS R. It has a full frame sensor, ISO goes up to some ridiculous number. Much better on the ISO noise performance, which is the main reason I got it for doing this. One of the animations I did, I had to shoot at a higher ISO because the animation was pretty complex, so I had to move the light fast, so the total path brightness was dimmer, so I had to raise the ISO, and that made it pretty noisy. So hopefully with this camera, that issue should be a little bit better. So I'm gonna swap this camera with this one and get this camera set up to start shooting some tests. I'm shooting this on a 85mm 1.4 lens. I'm probably gonna stop that down a little bit so we get a little bit of a sharper image. One of the limitations of this lens is the minimum focus distance is only like a little over 1 meter. So to get around that, I'm adding a 12mm macro tube. That'll bring the focal length to 97mm. We lose infinity focus, but our minimum focus gets pulled forward far enough for our purposes here. So this lens should be nice and tight and do the job nicely for this shoot. Oh, and another thing, another subtle thing is because this is a mirrorless camera, something funny about DSLRs, that stands for digital lens, digital single lens reflex. Digital single, yes. The reflex means that light entering the lens gets bounced off a mirror and into the eyepiece. The issue with that is when you're shooting remotely, especially when you're doing a long exposure, you don't have your face covering the eyepiece, and that means that light can actually enter the eyepiece and get into the image a little bit. It'll make it a little less contrasty. A common practice would be to put tape over your eyepiece if you're shooting a long exposure. The mirror should flip up and block most of that light coming into the eyepiece, so maybe that's just a myth, or maybe that doesn't apply to all modern cameras, but probably safest to do that. But anyway, for a camera like this is a mirrorless camera, the viewfinder is a digital display. So because of that, we don't have to tape the eyepiece anymore. Yeehaw! So another reason we're gonna want to close down our aperture here is so that we can get the whole thing in focus. Even just from the rotation, it moves forward and back enough that front will be in focus and the back will be out of focus. Another thing, the framing of this shot that we intend to deliver is a little bit tighter than this. So since we're shooting stills, we can shoot in like, I don't know, 8K, 10K. We can shoot at a ridiculously high resolution. We can back it out a bit, shoot a little bit wider, and then just crop into our final composition. And that's a much lower risk of setting up the camera too close. I'm gonna back it off even more. We might have to get rid of the macro tube because I don't think I can focus on it anymore. And now it's too close to focus on. Okay, neither are gonna work. With that tube on, that brings our maximum focal distance too close to go wide enough. So we can't go wide enough with the macro tube on. Without the macro tube on, we can't go tight enough and still be able to focus on the thing. That's as close as we can get. I think that's a little bit too wide. Maybe that's okay. I think I just don't have the lens that I want to shoot this with, and I'm trying to fix it with the macro tube, but it's not working. I think I just need a 50mm. Why don't I have a 50mm lens? Everybody has a 50mm lens. Why don't I have a 50mm? Actually, maybe I do want an 85, but just one that can focus closer. Here's a crop lens that can zoom to 50. Oh wait, is this a full frame lens? Wow, this might be full frame. Maybe this will work. Oh no. The old camera is mini USB, but the new one is USB-C. I do appreciate USB-C for all its merits, but now I gotta buy another cable. It's a little bit of a setback. It's not centered. Alright, this seems to be rotating much more concentrically. Seems good. We've set the light point position to be this corner. So we've set it here and used that as a reference point to position the gum. As a test, here's something we can do. Rotate this around 180 and then move our reference point to the same corner. Also, we can move the gum motor 180 degrees. Re-execute, and we should see it land back in the same spot. Oh, nice. Right on the corner. Quite good. So this is a great thing because this means that the position of our virtual objects matches the position of the physical object we've got lined up here. So this should mean that everything should line up and we should not be crashing our light into the gum and messing everything up. It's probably still going to happen, but we've done the best we can. Alright, there's not a whole lot else I can do before I get that USB-C cable tomorrow. So I think I'll call it a night there. Okay, so I can't use that lens that I thought was a full frame lens, which is actually a crop lens. Oh, I guess I could use it, but I'd really rather shoot full frame for this. I just found a listing. I'm gonna get this 24-105 lens. I double checked that it can focus close enough. It's got a good focal range, and it's a full frame lens that I kind of wanted anyway, so good excuse. And it's in Brooklyn, so I'm going to ask the seller and see if I can just go and pick it up tomorrow. So, I'm going to do that.